Hey, it's Friday. On Tuesday, we left off with a question. And that question is, what are we forcing? Or what am I forcing? I've been sitting with this question all week, and that question was from the Simon and Garfunkel song, Kathy's Song. It was a question embedded in some lyrics about leaving a song undone because the songwriter was making the words twist and strain to rhyme. Fundamentally, he didn't believe in the song that he was writing. What am I holding on to that I should leave undone because it doesn't fit with what I'm doing? What am I tearing and straining to make work in my life that I would be better left leaving it alone and just letting it fade away, die a natural death, whatever you do with the stuff that you decide to stop doing? I really enjoyed this exercise, which is a good sign because I told myself I was going to do it for at least a few weeks before I stopped doing it. I think I'm going to stick with it. There's a big difference between thinking about something in a long burst and thinking about something little bit by little bit over a longer period of time. I think you can solve some interesting problems with a 4-hour Jimmy Neutron brain blast, but I don't think your biggest life questions get solved that way. I've found that when I have a big aha moment, more often than not, a couple weeks later, I might go back on what I was saying because I learned something new, or just sitting with it a little bit longer changed how I actually felt about it. Sometimes when you compare what you wish was real to the lived-in reality of your life, it doesn't actually go the way that you thought it might. So this was a good little mini version of that. I first tried to answer this question very literally. I looked through all of the things that I do in my day. I wake up, I feed my cats, I feed my son, I scroll on my phone, I go to the gym, all the things that you do in your normal life. And I was trying to find stuff that I could just cut. If I cut the things that aren't serving me, my life automatically gets better, right? I don't think that's how I want to answer this question anymore. The answer to that question is just the painful truth of, hey, stop scrolling on TikTok. But the deeper question, the less literal, what are the things that I'm doing that are no longer serving me, actually ended up being a much more fruitful thing to explore this week. I'd sit down, kind of take a break from the day, and then I would remember that I'm supposed to be thinking about this question. And so in those kind of moments, I floated in and out of a couple different frames. The most interesting brain tangents I went on kind of led me to this idea that the expectation around the things I'm doing actually was probably more important than the literal things that I was doing. Let me explain. I'm in a very fortunate season of life that for the most part, I'm doing the stuff that I want to be doing. Obviously, I got to pay taxes and the bills and all the stuff that, normal people do. But by and large, I'm spending time with my family. I'm spending time with my cats. I'm playing music. I'm writing software. I'm doing stuff that I like to do. Am I doing it as well as I would like? No. But I'm broadly doing the stuff that I told myself a couple years ago I want to be doing. That's an incredibly privileged spot to be in. And I recognize that because for long stretches of my life, I was doing stuff I explicitly didn't want to be doing. I was in the desert sucking sand in the army, or I was working for this place or that. I've done stuff I don't like before. And so I genuinely appreciate the chance to do stuff that I like to do in my day-to-day life right now. But I realize I'm not engaging with those things perhaps in the way that I should. Or at least I'm not engaging with them fully. See, my default mode of doing things is this meta analytical, hey, I'm doing this thing, let me think about doing this thing. Oh, I'm thinking about doing this. And I just get lost in this cycle of, yeah, I'm strumming the guitar, but could I be practicing it in a different way? Or could I be optimizing it so that it's more efficient to spend this 20 minutes that I'm plucking? Is there a version of this 20 minutes that I'm plucking the guitar that is theoretically better than the current version I am experiencing? And I'll spend, 10 of the 20 minutes wondering if I should be picking around on something else. And as a result, I don't actually enjoy the thing that I, in theory, enjoy that much. I'm worried about doing it wrong, but it's not a job. It's not a career progression. It's a thing I'm doing because I told myself I wanted to do it, and I do want to do it, but I'm not letting myself enjoy the process of doing it because I'm judging myself about doing it in some suboptimal way. That's insane. This is something I know about myself, but in the context of this question, I had a really interesting opportunity to confront this reality of my life, and it turns out the thing I spend most of my time doing is not stuff. It's analyzing stuff. And analyzing stuff is not the same as doing stuff. In a way, it's doing stuff really poorly because you're analyzing, not doing, and that analyzing gets in the way of the thing that you're doing more often than not. So in a real and meaningful way, I am twisting and contorting the majority of the tasks in my life because I'm thinking about doing them as I do them instead of just doing them and maybe reviewing what I could have done better afterwards. If you play an instrument, if you do anything that has like an element of craft to it, especially like a craft that has like a IRL or live component, you'll know exactly what I mean of how you pull yourself out of the flow state of these tasks by worrying about the flow state of the task. It's kind of like meditation if you've ever explored that. The harder you try to meditate, the less likely you're going to be able to meditate successfully. It's like this really frustrating paradox for people that like want to control stuff. And so I've been sitting with this idea of thinking less. To be clear, thinking less is not the advice I'd give to everybody. There are some people who very clearly need to be thinking more about what they do. But there's a class of people that very explicitly needs to think less about what they're doing because their brain is running like cycles and loops and simulations and scenarios over and over and over again. That process of analyzing and meta-analyzing gets in the way of the stuff that they legitimately like want to do and would be good for them. I gotta say, I'm kind of shocked that sitting on this question brought me back to this realization that I've like felt before, kind of paid attention to, stopped paying attention to for periods of time. But like this is the perfect time in my life for me to disengage with engaging with that part of me. I think that makes sense. Hell, man, even preparing for this video, I kept wanting to write down more and more notes beforehand, even though I had promised myself that this was going to be as off the cuff and honest as I could be. But I wanted to prepare because I wanted it to go well, because I wanted it to be a good video, because I want people to get stuff out of it and enjoy it and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just trying to chill out a little bit, cut down on the meta-analyzing. I already have a couple interesting questions that I think are going to be worth talking about for next week. So I'll be back on Tuesday to come up with another thing to sit on over the week. But I'd call week one a pretty successful experiment. I tried to figure out what are the things in my life that I should leave undone because they're not serving me, and I'm like straining my life to support this thing that isn't supporting me. And I came to a pretty good conclusion that the meta-analysis, which honestly, I guess now that I'm saying it, these videos are kind of like a meta-analysis, but maybe it's like a productive one because I'm doing it asynchronously from the tasks and stuff that I'm doing, the actions that I'm taking. Maybe that's what I'm telling myself. Maybe it's cope. I don't know. I don't think it's cope though. I've played sports. I've ran operations. The flow state is really, really important, and pulling yourself out of it because of a form of what is effectively insecurity about your ability to accomplish the thing that you're setting out to accomplish doesn't serve the true measures of effectiveness. And one of my true measures of effectiveness is, am I enjoying doing the things that I do? The meta-analysis pulls me out of the enjoyment and like locks me into, am I passing or failing this thing? There's no judge to pass, fail me. So I'm like stepping into that role, and for why? I don't know. See you Tuesday.